Okay, well, good evening, everyone. It's exactly 6 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, first of all, for everyone who is joining in tonight. We appreciate you taking the time to learn more about this new state law and the new program that we are implementing here in the city of Mission Viejo. So tonight we will be going over, Senate Bill 1383. This is the new law that is going into effect on January 1st. That was passed by the state of California, and how that will impact you and how to participate in the program. My name is Ashley Bernier. I work for Waste Management. I'm a public sector manager, and I'm accompanied tonight by Victoria Wen, who will also be helping me along with this presentation. But without further ado, we will go ahead and jump right in. So the next slide, please. Okay, so to begin, Senate Bill 1383 is basically California's short-lived climate pollutant reduction strategy. And essentially, this law is being passed in order to reduce the amount of organic waste that is in the landfill. And organic waste is considered green waste, food waste, food soils, paper, that type of organic material that came from living things. And this law takes effect, like I mentioned, on January 1st of 2022, so just about a month away now. And it impacts everyone. It impacts all residents, including multifamily residents, and businesses as well, where we have to now separate the organic waste from the trash and put into a organics recycling container. Now, part of this law, there is some ambitious contamination monitoring as well, where we have to make sure we're actually utilizing the containers properly, meaning, no trash inside the recycling or the organics container, no recycling in the trash or the organics container, and lastly, no organics in the trash and the recycling container. So there's a lot of education and outreach that we will be doing to make sure our residents and businesses know how to recycle right. And we're here, of course, throughout the way to answer any questions and provide as many resources as we can to help increase diversion and reduce that amount of organic material that is going into our landfill. In addition, you will be noticing the new cart colors throughout the state of California. This is part of Senate Bill 1383, that by a certain time frame that all the carts will be the same. Colors to help standardize it throughout the state and make it less confusing. So even if you move to a different city, the trash colors will mean the same thing, meaning the black or gray for trash, the blue for recycling, and the green for the organics. Since we do have a new agreement with the city of Mission Viejo, we are going ahead and swapping all those containers now as part of that new agreement. And as you may have already received your letter, and you probably also may have received those new containers, you could see what those look like. We'll also go through each container later in this presentation on what can go where. But of course, if you want to learn more about this law or dive in a little bit deeper, CalRecycle is the state agency which oversees this law and this program, and their information can be found at this link here on the screen. And we'll have this up later as well for anyone who would like to reference it at a later time. But for now, on the next slide, please. Okay, so essentially, why did California pass Senate Bill 1383? What was the purpose of this law going into effect? So we have, again, this is around mostly organic waste. So when this is decomposing in the landfill, it is releasing a greenhouse gas, which is very powerful, called methane, which is believed to help contribute to global climate change. And California wanted to play a part in reducing the impact to global climate change. So they wanted to help get that organic material out in the landfill and making sure it could be put into beneficial reuse, such as compost or renewable energy. And this law is really helping separate that organic waste. So by not putting it in the trash, it's helping divert it away from the landfill. In addition, there's a lot of other benefits with this law. Now, this mostly impacts our large commercial food generators and businesses, not necessarily residents, but it is a really nice aspect of this law. surrounding food insecurity. They've done studies and they've seen that 1 in 4 children in California are going hungry. And so there's this 20% edible food recovery component of this law where we have this goal to recover edible food, meaning food that is still safe for human consumption, that can be donated or recovered through many of the nonprofits and wonderful organizations we have throughout the state. So this is also another portion of the law. Again, it doesn't really affect, the residential side as much, but it is something that, of course, will impact, residential families in need throughout the state. So now I'm going to flip it over to my colleague Victoria, and she's going to go a little bit more in depth about what goes where and, contamination and all of the other programs that we offer. But of course, as a reminder, at the end, we will have a Q&A, so please stay tuned. At the end, we'll let you know when that opens up. There is a chat box in the top right-hand corner of your screen where you can enter questions. And as soon as that opens up, we'll let you know at the end of the presentation. But for now, Victoria, please take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Ashley. So now that we've explained why we have new trash carts, we're going to review what goes in each cart. And as a reminder, the cart for your trash is going to have a black lid now. And the trash cart is for waste that cannot be recycled or composted. So these items are going to include things like styrofoam and packaging, non-recyclable plastics like plastic utensils, bags, liners, films, wax-coated paper cups, pet waste and diapers, garden hoses, and non-donatable clothing, bedding, and textiles. And an important note to make here is that we don't want to place any hazardous waste into our trash cart. So these things can be needles, chemicals, paint, fluorescent light bulbs, propane tanks, aerosol containers, or e-waste such as batteries, electronics, or printers, or any construction debris either. And later in the presentation, we have a slide showing where these items can be collected. Okay, and next is recycling, which now has a blue lid. The important thing with recyclables is we want to make sure everything we're putting in here is clean and dry to avoid contamination. So make sure that anything you put in, such as glass jars, if there's pasta sauce on there, you want to rinse it out and make sure it's clean and dry before placing it in there. And you can also recycle aluminum cans, empty aerosol cans, tin cans, steel cans, glass bottles, glass food jars, paper, and these range from the magazine paper, even if they're glossy phone books, paper bags, non-metallic wrapping paper, cardboard, newspaper, and our plastics. And we go by shape here, so a good thing to remember is jugs, tubs, jars, and bottles. And typically the numbers 1, 2, and 5 are recyclable. And another thing that is often confused is that plastic bags are recyclable, but they are not recyclable. Plastic bags go in the trash. And next we have the new Greenways Cart. So this will be commingled with your original green waste, such as grass, leaves, shrubs, plants, and garden trimmings. But now it will include food waste as well. So food waste is going to be meat, fish, poultry, dairy products, fruits and vegetables, bread, pasta, rice, grains, bones, eggshells, seafood shells, plate scrapings, and food soiled paper like napkins. And as a reminder, the food waste is not going to be put in here until January 1st, 2022, because that is when the SB 1383 program begins. And we don't want to place any animal waste, soil, rocks, paper, plastic, silverware or dishware, glass, metal, rubber, food packaging material, or compostable or biodegradable products in here because they do not break down in our facilities. And With SB 1383, we want to make sure to avoid contamination. So we want to put what belongs in the trash only in the trash, what belongs in the recycle only in recycle, and the same with our green waste, only organics and food waste in there. Down the line, this may result in a contamination charge if your container is excessively contaminated, but we do understand this is a new transition, it's a new program, so there won't be any contamination anytime soon. And you can always visit wm.com/recycleright for access to recycling education and resources, or contact the local Mission Viejo recycling coordinator at the email on screen. It's mvrecycling@wm.com, and we'll have a slide at the end with all the contact information for you to reference as well. And as mentioned earlier, this is where you can safely dispose of hazardous household waste. So these are things like e-waste, paint, chemicals, cleaning supplies. There are Orange County hazardous household waste drop-off locations at these 4 locations in Anaheim, Irvine, Huntington Beach, and San Juan Capistrano. You can visit the website below, oclandfills.com/hazardous, or call the phone number on screen for a list of acceptable items and center information. Due to COVID-19, we do advise that you call ahead of time because the hours for the centers may have changed. Okay. And another thing that was delivered along with the 3 new carts is your kitchen food scraps pail. So this is for collecting food scraps inside of your home so that you can dump it out into your green waste cart outside. So this pail, you can line it with a bag if you want, but you have to empty the food and the contents directly into that green waste cart and dispose of the bag in the trash can. And please note, this pail is a one-time delivery for the start of this program, and if you want additional pails, these can be purchased from online retailers. And of course, we know this is a new program, so we have some tips and tricks to keep your organics container clean and fresh because there's going to be food in there. So one thing you could do is to empty out and rinse and dry your kitchen pail daily if needed. You may also line your pail and organics container with a piece of paper or paper napkins to absorb any liquids and food waste. You could also consider lining the organics cart with a layer of green waste like grass clippings or leaves before placing your food waste inside. That way the liquids get absorbed into the green waste. There's also charcoal filters that you could buy for your organics cart to mitigate any odors. The charcoal absorbs odors. You could also keep your food scraps in the fridge or freezer and then empty it directly into your organics cart on your service day to minimize odors. And all single family residents are eligible to receive 1 free cart exchange per year per waste type, but this does not include the little food waste pails. If you would like to request a cart exchange, you can contact WM customer service or visit the website for support. And again, we will have a contact information slide that you can reference with the number and email coming up. And as mentioned, here is all the useful contact information that was mentioned throughout the presentation on the slide. So please feel free to take a picture or take a screenshot of the slide for your reference, and we'll leave this up here. One thing to especially note with the new container exchange, we have a dedicated customer service line for any cart exchanges or cart problems that you may run into, and that's the first number you see on screen up here. It's 866-723-9077. And then we have our standard waste management customer service for Mission Viejo below that. We also have the WM.com for digital chat, and we also have an app. For information on residential services in Mission Viejo, you can visit home.wm.com/Mission Viejo, and you'll find things specific to Mission Viejo here, such as senior discount or service guides. For the City of Mission Viejo Environmental Programs website, that's cityofmissionviejo.org/green. And as mentioned before, we have our free recycling education materials and resources at wm.com/recycleright. And below you'll find the recycling coordinator email for Mission Viejo and the CalRecycle website to learn more about the state mandate SB 1383. And I will come back to this slide after our Q&A.
Perfect. Thanks, Victoria. Yeah, no, that was pretty much a great summary of the program. And at this time, we are going to go ahead and open up our Q&A. So to participate in the Q&A, there should be a chat box on the corner of your screen. Please feel free to go ahead and enter your comments or questions into this, and we will do our best to answer all of them as we can. And in the meantime, Victoria, if you want to keep up the helpful resources and contact information, just in case anyone wants to write that down or take a screenshot, we'll go ahead and leave that up. But for now, we will go ahead and start the questions, which I see we already have a few in the system. So we will see, let's see, we do have one asking about pet waste and pet products, if those are allowed to go into the green container, and no. So this one is not acceptable, so we would recommend you throw pet waste and pet products into the trash container. Another question is about like paper bags or paper in the food or organic bin. And this is okay. So food soiled paper, if it's like a food soiled paper napkin or food soiled paper bag or something like that, that's okay to go into the organics container. But if it's like clean paper, clean office paper, or paper bags from the grocery store, or clean paper products, no food waste on it, we recommend you put that into the recycling container to be recycled. Okay, so we do have another question about placing unbagged food into the container. This is, about anything to do with the smells or anything to do with, how do we mitigate that? And I know Victoria went over on her previous slide about some of the tips and tricks, and I know this is also in the service guide as well. To help either mitigate the smell, you can use like a charcoal filter or wait until putting your food waste in until you're closer to your service day, so that it's not sitting in your container for too long at a time. We also do the one container exchange per year with Waste Management, so feel free to contact Waste Management customer service when your container needs to be exchanged if it's no longer suitable. But of course, if Victoria, if you want to maybe briefly go to that slide as well, we could leave that up for our guests that had questions about the tips and tricks. Okay, so another question is about the new monthly costs. So in January 2022, there is a new cost for services. This is dependent again on your household type. This is not inclusive of like senior discounts, but the new standard rate for the majority of residents in the city is $24.07. But again, there are other discounts that apply, such as the senior discounts or the HOAs that single bill their residents. Someone was asking if there would be a copy of the presentation in PowerPoint or PDF format. And I do know we have a recording that is placed on the city's website, but we definitely can also provide a PDF format as well in case this would like to be shared without watching a full hour-length presentation. But yeah, no, thank you for that suggestion. We can certainly share a PDF and we'll make sure that is put on the city's website as well. Okay. There's another question about if the PowerPoint will be available for download. I think we addressed that one. Another question is about coffee capsules. This one would go into the trash container. I do see this question a lot, but yes, this product is considered for the trash. And then someone asked about shredded paper. If you put it in a plastic bag, we would recommend if you put shredded paper in a paper bag or maybe in a small cardboard box that you have. That way you can place it into the recycling container. But yeah, shredded paper can go into the recycling. It just helps it from blowing away when it's being dumped into the collection truck. And this one's asking about, well, what if someone puts something into my container that doesn't belong to us? Maybe they're walking by and illegally dumps into your container. Will we be fined? And, we work very closely with our customers. And if there's ever any dispute about something that's in the container, we work closely with code enforcement as well for illegal dumping. And we work with the customer to make sure that any fines that may have been assessed erroneously are waived. But if it becomes a repeat problem, we will work with you to make sure that that problem's resolved and we'll come up with a solution. But there is warning systems in place as well for these contamination fines that could happen in the future. So it's not the first time that happens that you are automatically fined. We do have a warning system in place where multiple warnings are provided before any fines are possibly assessed. Someone was asking about like plastic milk cartons or milk containers, and this can go into the recycling container. This is a perfect recyclable item. Another question is, so this is a statewide law, but some people in surrounding communities do not seem to know about this yet. So while this is rolling out on January 1st, there are some jurisdictions that are a little bit behind in rolling this out. So some communities may not have received their notification yet from their hauler, but they will very likely shortly be getting this. So as programs are being finalized with every city, I know each city is working with the state if they do need a little bit more time to roll it out, but this is an expectation that the state does have us roll this out on January 1st, as this is when the law takes effect. So it is a statewide law and it is impacting every city in the state. One question was if we can line the pail or the organics container with newspaper or paper products. And yes, food soiled paper is acceptable in the container. So if you would like to line it just to help keep your container a little bit cleaner, this is okay. Another question was about like cooking oils. Minimal amounts of oils are okay, but if it's a lot of oil, we would recommend, you having that cooled properly and placed in your trash container. But if it's a minimal amount, from scrapings from your pan or something that you're dumping into your food waste container, that is okay. Another question was, if you don't have any green waste, if you're supposed to place your food waste directly into your container. And yes, the answer, if you don't have green waste, like we said, we recommend you could put maybe a piece of newspaper down or some kind of food soiled paper at the bottom to help absorb those liquids. But yeah, this container is meant for all organic waste, meaning green waste and or food waste, which will be collected by waste management. And there are some tips and tricks to help keep your container clean on the screen. And of course, we do recommend you utilize the container exchange per year. So if you do have just purely food waste going into your container, to make sure that you're keeping it clean. And if you need an exchange, you can contact waste management. And someone just was asking as a follow-up, how does the cart exchange work? And you do contact Waste Management customer service, which the phone number or the website is on the screen. You just request the container exchange to just confirm your service address and information and the container size and type, and they will schedule that container exchange for you. Someone was asking if I can still bag trash, and yes, trash bags in the trash container are completely acceptable. It's mostly in the recycling container and the organics container that they would like to keep bags out. And that's referring to plastic bags. Someone was asking if we can freeze food waste and dump it into the green container on the pickup day. And yes, I do know a lot of people, I have family relatives as well that participate in this program in other areas of the world. And that's something that they do as well, where they keep it in their fridge or their freezer before their trash pickup day. And it just helps keep it a little bit cleaner and fresher, before that way it's just picked up immediately by the trash company that day. Someone was asking about photographs. I like a photo material, and I would say that would be a trash product if you have no need for them anymore. And someone was asking, about water conservation, about rinsing and cleaning the compost pail daily for the kitchen. And if that's something you are very conscious of, we definitely applaud you for that. And you certainly do not have to do this daily, but a lot of people I know sometimes utilize leftover water they have, like if they have their sink full of dishwater already because they're washing dishes, they can use that water to help wash their pail, or if they save water in their backyard with the catch drain system or even old bath water. I know a lot of, I've heard some really interesting and neat water conservation tricks on how to clean products without wasting water. So that's certainly some tips and tricks you can follow as well to help save water. And someone was asking if Waste Management will be delivering a green lid cart for yard clippings, and yes. So everyone in the city should be receiving a green container, by the latest in January, to participate in the organics program. So that will be for both food waste and green waste mixed together. Another question was about tea bags, and tea products or tea leaves or anything like that can go into the organics container for composting. So another question was, how will we be monitoring contamination and compliance, that people are utilizing the bins appropriately? And Waste Management does have technology where we do monitor each dump so that we are looking for contamination consistently. And if we do see something that wasn't supposed to be placed in that container, that way we will notify and provide those educational materials to the resident. Again, there are warning system in place, so each, you do get your few warnings before being assessed any potential charges, but it just lets you know that, hey, we saw contamination in your container. This is not an acceptable item, but here are the acceptable items, and this is just for your future reference. And of course, if you have any questions or disputes, it will provide a phone number to contact as well. Another question was if you have if you basically compost at home, um, and hopefully I'm understanding this correctly, but something about if we have a kitchen composter for our food waste, does the residue go in the green container if we don't use it in the garden? And if I'm understanding this correctly, I would say yes, if it's food waste related products that are not being put in at home, yes, you can put it into your green container. So any type of food waste related products, whether it's vegetables or plate scrapings, meat products, dairy products, anything like a food waste related product can go into the food and green container. Someone was asking about envelopes, and those can be placed into the recycling container. If you would like to remove the plastic window and place in the trash, you are welcome to, but yes, envelopes are recyclable. Another question was about, can I request a second organics container if needed? And yes, you absolutely can. So every resident actually in the city of Mission Viejo is entitled to a additional recycling and an additional organics container at no charge. So if you do need more room or more volume for your either recycling or organics container, please contact Waste Management Customer Service and they can assist with having that delivered to you. And we also provide additional trash containers as well, although this does come at a small additional cost. Another question was about skin of like fish, like salmon, and that could be placed in the food container. Another question was about like dog food bags or even the bags that carry the dog food, and that would be placed into the trash container. Another question was about like empty detergent bottles, fabric softener bottles, things like that. That can go into the recycling container, and yes, it can. Okay, and I'm just going through questions. It seems like we have a few repeat ones and just trying to filter through those. Question was about why aren't compostable bags allowed in the compost container? Unfortunately, at this time, the facilities which we utilize currently do not accept this product. It's, just we have various facilities and various types of compostable products, some that say they're compostable or some that say they're biodegradable, which means different things. And we really, they need a standard compostable product that will break down at their processing rate. So unfortunately at this time, they do not allow it, but in the future, as there becomes a more standardized compostable product that can break down at the rate of these facilities, they will hopefully allow us to accept these items and utilize them in the organics container. But right now, they do not break down. Most of these products do not break down at the rate they need to break down for these facilities, so they have asked that we do not accept these products. Another question was about, space constraints and issues with maybe fitting the third container if you currently do not have the third container. We certainly understand, this is a big change and there are definitely some big space constraints, especially in some of our HOA communities that we service. We do offer a variety of sizes for the green container, especially in the HOA. If you do not have a green container in your community, we are opting for the smallest size available since we do know space constraints are definitely an issue that we're trying to mitigate. These sizes do apply to the trash and recycling as well. So if you currently have a larger container for your trash and recycling that you may not need, we can downsize that to a smaller container as well. But for the green container, for those that don't have one currently that are suffering space constraints, we are already planning to deliver the smallest size container for your community since we know this is an issue. Another question was about, alternatives for like plastic bag recycling. So if you do have like plastic bags from like grocery stores or things that you would like to recycle, it is good to know that plasticfilmrecycling.org is a great website that shows some of the retailers that participate in a plastic bag take back program. I know Ralph's and I believe Target I know there's a few other stores. I think one resident mentioned Home Depot is another location that does take plastic bags. They usually have a bin in the front of their store that can take plastic film and plastic bags where they can specially recycle this product without causing any harm to the equipment, and it's separate from all the other recyclables, so it's more easier to handle. So that is definitely an option as well if you choose to utilize plastic bags. Of course, for those that are trying to reuse, the reusable bags are a great option as well to reduce the plastic bag impact. Excuse me. Another question was about why we don't offer a separate container for food waste instead of mixing it in. And this was really an option that was fitting the best needs of most residents in the community, since most residents, have a green container currently. I know we have a portion that also do not because you're an HOA, but since most residents already have the green container, it was chosen that a commingled program would be best for the majority of the residents. Having a fourth container for most residents was not a favorable option, since there is also space constraints with parking on the streets. So that would be the reason for that. Okay, another question was what age does the senior discount apply? And in our new agreement, it's 62 years of age. So please feel free to, you can download the senior discount application on our website at home.wm.com/Mission Viejo. There is a helpful resources tab at the bottom, and there is, if you click on the see more, you'll see all the different helpful resources we have, including the senior discount application. Of course, you can also contact Waste Management customer service, and they can also assist with providing you the application as well. Another question was just about the warnings. Will there be warnings before we are fined? And yes, there is a warning system in place before any contamination fines are assessed. This is really to make sure that customers are informed of how to use the container properly and that they are provided the educational material they need to recycle right. And if it continues to be an issue, then that is when fines may be assessed. But the intent of the program is to make sure we're recycling right. Another question was, if I compost at home, is there a way to get an exemption? Unfortunately not. This is a statewide law that everyone is expected to participate in, and particularly in the city of Mission Viejo, all residents will be subscribed to this program to make sure they're in compliance with this law. But there is an option for smaller bins. So if you don't need, the current size that you have, if you want the 35-gallon, that is the smallest size we offer, and that is definitely an option that you can request. If you contact Waste Management customer service, I believe that first number, if you've already received your cart and you want to exchange it for a smaller cart, you can contact that first number. If you're in an HOA and you haven't received your cart, no real need yet, that's automatically going to be provided, that smallest size container. Another question was about pizza boxes, since this is technically like a food soiled paper product. The pizza, if it's like the food soiled part, we would recommend you can put that into your organics container. But if it's the clean part, we would recommend tearing that off and actually putting it in your recycling container, since the cardboard is still good to be recycled. It's just the grease and the cheesy part that we don't want in the recycling container. Another question was if any of these FAQs will be posted, and I think we are actually working on gathering the questions from these presentations and the most commonly asked questions and the answers, so that can be posted to the website as well. Another question, as we're getting into the holidays, is what about Christmas wrapping and ribbons? Is that in the trash or in the recycling container? If it's non-metallic wrapping paper, like a solid paper wrapping material, then that is okay to be in the recycling. But you are correct. If it's a lot of wrapping paper and ribbons and things like that do have that metallic material, or even just ribbon in general, that should be placed into the trash. Another question is, there's a lot of things that are mentioned that can go into the green bin that are typically not composted by worms or at a home composting bin. And yes, that is correct. So this program is not like a backyard home composting program. This is an industrial composting process. So we can accept more food waste products than typical of a backyard composting program. That's why you'll see products like the meat and dairy and other things that you might not necessarily see recommended for your backyard compost program. Someone was asking about wax, like wax coated products like paper cups or milk cartons. And these products are typically put into the trash because of that wax coating, which doesn't unfortunately allow it to be easily recycled. So yeah, any waxy paper products, those are typically in the trash, but paper products in general, or like cardboard products by itself, can be placed into the recycling. And someone was asking about the K-cups again. I see this is a common question throughout the chat. So yes, if you want to empty your K-cups, like your coffee grounds, into the organics container, you absolutely should and can. But yes, any other of the rest of the cup should be placed into the trash container. Another question was about our Christmas tree recycling program, and someone was asking if they are allowed to chop it up and put it into their green container, or if they have to leave it on the curb. And no, you are absolutely allowed to chop it and put it into your green container if you wish to do so. Or you can leave it on your curb as well. The first 3 weeks after the Christmas holiday is when Waste Management will be collecting the Christmas trees. But if you want it to be serviced by the green container as well, yes, if you just chop it up and make sure it fits inside your green container, that is okay as well. The only note we have on that is to please remember to remove all decorations, tinsel, lights, anything like that. And then unfortunately the flocked trees, those cannot be recycled. So if they have like that artificial snow on it, unfortunately that shouldn't be placed into the green container. It could still be placed on the curb. Just please note it's not, unfortunately it's not recyclable, so they can't recycle it. It is a trash product. But all other Christmas trees and live Christmas trees can be composted and processed separately. And this was a question about, let's see, I think we answered this one about the card exchange. You just contact Waste Management customer service. And another question was just about the milk cartons, like if they're wax coated, those would be in the trash, but if they're like the milk jugs, like the plastic containers, that can definitely go into the recycling. And yes, palm fronds, actually, we can take it in the organics container in Mission Viejo. This is a good question. Another question, I think we answered about the laundry and detergent bottles already. I do see a couple of repeat questions about that. Another question was about shredded paper. This one, again, it's okay to put in the recycling container, at least as far as we know in our local area or Mission Viejo, we can put the shredded paper in the recycling. If you do want to put it in a paper bag or a small cardboard box, that can help make sure it doesn't blow away when it's serviced by the recycling truck. And another question was just to reiterate, trash can be bagged and placed into the trash container. That is perfectly okay. Another question was about washing the containers. I don't want to speak on behalf of the city of Mission Viejo, but I do know this might not be advised because if you wash your containers and dump it into the street, there could be residues that affect the stormwater quality. We do recommend if you want to exchange your container to contact waste management and just have a container exchange, and we'll make sure it's washed safely, and not impacting the stormwater. I see a freezing question again, and yes, you can definitely freeze your food waste before putting it into the green container to help keep it cleaner. Another question was about, do chicken bones or other bones, can they go into the green container? And yes, small minimal amounts of bones from residents is completely fine in this process. Of course, if you had like a very large volume of bones, and we'd ask you to contact us. And but as a residential customer base, yes, this is okay to go into the organic container. Another question is, if we rinse out the organics container, can we dispose of the residue in the gutter? And again, we recommend if you need it to be exchanged or cleaned, to contact waste management for an exchange, or maybe line your container with like a piece of newspaper at the bottom or green waste if you have it, just to keep it cleaner. This is just to help it avoid any impacts to the stormwater pollution. Another question is, will the organics cart attract any rodents or any types of pests? And it really shouldn't. It's, we are throwing and disposing of organic, material into our trash container currently. As long as you keep the lid closed and keep your container, bring it in when you are not needing it to be serviced and keeping it in a safe place, it shouldn't attract anything different. But yes, definitely keeping your lid closed, helps it from flies getting in there or any types of pests that you don't want. Another question is if we could opt out of waste services and if we just can take it to the landfill ourselves. That way we don't have to separate anything. Unfortunately, no, the answer is no, but you do have to be subscribed to a waste management program. It is part of the municipal code. In addition, the diversion programs are mandatory by the state, so they do want to make sure we're recycling, and that's why we have to separate the items. And of course, that just impacts our sustainability as well. By recycling it, we can make sure we turn these products into new materials and otherwise would just be sitting in a landfill. Can we use a brown paper bag for the food waste since it's food soiled? And yes, if you have, small brown paper bag and, a little bit of food waste in there and just get that food soiled, that is okay. Food soiled paper is okay. Other question was about foil. If it's clean aluminum foil, that can be placed in the recycling container. However, if it's food waste or food soiled, we would recommend just putting it into the trash container since that is not recyclable. Another question was, will 3 trucks now arrive at our residence? And yes, so if you have 3 containers, like the trash, recycling, and organics, and that will be everyone pretty shortly in the city of Mission Viejo. So there will be 3 separate trucks and 3, they will be servicing each container separately to make sure it's processed to the right facility. Okay, another question was if we didn't receive a bucket, how do we request one? Um, I know they're still delivering the containers, so if you haven't received one, we just ask for your patience just to see if you're still they're still making those deliveries. But if all of your neighbors have them and you just happen to miss, please contact that phone number at the top and maybe just let them know. Each resident should have been provided with one, so we only can provide one per household, but we can confirm if it was delivered or not, and if not, we can have another driver bring by a bucket. Another question is is there a way to rinse the containers when the trucks, um, pick up the organics? Unfortunately, no, the waste collection trucks do not have that ability, but we do have the container exchange where we can exchange the container. And if, we will handle the refurbishing and the cleaning to make sure that the container is ready for use again if needed. Another question is when will Waste Management be delivering the green containers? So currently we are just delivering all of the regular containers to everyone in the city. We're trying to postpone the HOA communities till the end since we know there's really no need for that additional container until January. So you will be receiving it either the end of December or early January to make sure that you are having that container for this new program. But everyone else that currently has a green container, it should be exchanged with your other containers. Okay, we have another question about like stickers and decals, like if there will be anything on the container. And yes, the containers will have instructions or a decal on each of the lids as well. And of course, if you would like copies of the service guide, you can go to home.wm.com/mission-viejo. And under helpful resources, we have copies of the service guides which were mailed and sent out that shows what goes where as well. And that can be, of course, posted on your fridge or near your trash container at home for reference. And yes, so another question was, if you don't have newspaper or you don't have, any other paper products that you can put your food waste in, then yes, you would just dump it directly into the food waste container. Must bins be full before putting it curbside? And no. So if you don't generate a lot of waste and, it's maybe only halfway full this week, that's okay. Still put it curbside for pickup and we will collect your container. And if you want to downsize your container because you feel like you just aren't needing that large of a container, absolutely can contact Waste Management customer service for a smaller container if that is better for your needs. And their question was about dog food, and this would be for the trash container. So this we would not recommend in the organics. And their question was that I've heard plastic water bottles do not get recycled. Is that true? And no, that is not true. Plastic water bottles are actually very highly valued and wanted by the recycling market, so they definitely get recycled. It's okay to leave the cap on as well. I've heard that myth going around. If you want to leave the cap on, that's okay as well. For broken glass, that was another question. If you want to bag that and safely place that in your trash container, it does pose a safety hazard once it goes to the recycling facility since, humans are going through the material and separating those recyclables. We don't want to provide them with anything that could cut them or injure them. So yeah, if it's broken glass and it's already damaged, if you just want to bag it and place it in the trash container, that would be the best option. Another question was how can I ask for a smaller container? And you can contact Waste Management customer service. If this is part of the cart exchange you recently received, then and you just want a small container, you can contact that first number as well. This is a number specifically dedicated for the container exchange in Mission Viejo, so they can help you with that as well. Okay, so I do see, let's see, I'm going to try to get through some of these questions that we might have not seen before. Oh, there's another question about, did you talk about construction waste? And no, we didn't, but construction waste is a special type of waste that we do not want into any of your containers at home. This is a very heavy material and should be processed separately, and it could damage the collection truck as well. So we do have special bins if you want to contact Waste Management customer service. They're just either a small dumpster that can be in front of your home for small projects, but we also do larger dumpsters as well, like roll-off containers that can be used for construction debris, and also some of our low boys as well for like concrete and things like that. So feel free to contact Waste Management customer service and let them know about your project, and they can help assist you with finding a best size for your needs and a rental. Another question is, do you have to rinse out containers before putting them in the recycling? We do recommend, like, if it's soiled with any type of, residue, whether it's food waste or detergent, that you give it a light rinse. It definitely doesn't have to be scrubbed, or, you don't have to put too much elbow grease into it. But yeah, any type of residue, we would recommend just giving it a light rinse. So that way it doesn't contaminate any of the other items. If you're ever kind of questioning it, we do recommend just keeping the lid on it as well, just so that, again, it doesn't contaminate some of those clean paper products or anything else in the recycling container. Another question was, is there a difference in cost for different size containers? No. So whether, you have 35, 65, or 95 gallon, they are the same cost. So it's really just about finding the needs that are finding the size that fits your needs best. Okay. Um, Another question was like small clean wood, like scrap wood. If it's not, if it's clean wood, just not contaminated with any chemicals or products, and yes, that can be placed into your green container if it's small. If you have larger pieces and you're doing a project, and if it's like contaminated wood or anything like that, we recommend, you know, contacting Waste Management to find the services that best fits your needs. But yes, if it's just small pieces of wood or branches, things like that, that's totally okay to put into your green container. Another question was about like snack bags, like film bags that have foil linings. We would recommend that go into the trash container. Okay. Another question is, will this program be implemented for apartments or apartment complexes? And yes, so all multifamilies are also subject to this law as well. So the program may be a little bit different because it's a multifamily program and there's a different options available to them, and it's a shared bin service. So it will be a little bit different, but yes, this program will be expanded to the multifamily complexes as well. So another question was, what about plastic bags you get from the grocery store? Would those go into the trash bin? Yes. So if you don't want to participate in a take back program, like I know Ralph sometimes has that plastic bag recycling program in the front. Yeah, if you want to dispose of it, you can dispose of it at your waste management trash container at home. Another question was about pizza boxes again. Just remember, if you want to recycle it, the best thing to do is make sure you separate the clean part from the food waste part. So if maybe the lid of the pizza box isn't covered with grease or food waste, that can be placed in the recycling container and you just tear it in half. But the bottom portion, if it's food soiled, that can be placed in your organics container. Um, yeah, and again, it's more about just making sure the clean part goes into the recycling. think we have few just comments. What about extra wood? I think we mentioned this already. And coffee grounds, we talked about that being in the green container. And if we were to receive a fine, would it be added to our bill, our quarterly bill? And yes, it would be, but you would also be notified as well when that does happen. And we do recommend, if you have a waste management account, to just update your contact information to make sure it's your preferred contact information so that you get those notifications. All right, I see some questions about water as well. So we do see about, is the water district increased our water allotments? And no, the answer is no to that. We shouldn't really be rinsing, again, the waste containers. You would need to contact Waste Management for an exchange. There is no increase to the street sweeping schedule. And no, the waste management trucks will not be rinsing the bins. You would just contact for an exchange, and a different team would be arriving for that container exchange. Okay, so I know we're getting just to past 7, so we're going to try to answer just a few more questions here. A lot of these, it seems like were repeat questions. I think we got most of them. But again, if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to the MV Recycling at WM.com, and we'll be happy to try to answer them further and post this presentation and some of the most frequently asked questions as well to the city's website. So stay tuned for that shortly. And we'll also be having another town hall coming up in December. So if you feel that you would like to join again or ask another opportunity for more questions on this event, stay tuned. It should be on December 16th. It will be the same time, 6 p.m. and you just join via the same link on the website. But I'll go ahead and do another couple questions, and thank you so much for everyone who's joined tonight. I know I want to make sure everyone is able to go to dinner and get some things as well. But let's see, we have, another good question is about electronic waste. This one is, typically a product that you should not ever place into your hauler container. We do have 2 events per year. That is hazardous waste and the electronic waste event. We just had our fall one this past November, but the next one should be in the springtime. You will see that advertised in the Waste Management newsletter and also the city website. But in the meantime, if you would like to dispose of it, we do have a couple other options. A lot of our waste management bulk item pickup program, all residents are provided 3 free bulk item pickups per year, 5 items each pickup for no charge as part of your program. And this includes a lot of electronic waste items such as like TVs and printers and common e-waste items. In addition, the County of Orange actually has 4 hazardous waste drop-off locations. The closest ones would be San Juan Capistrano and Irvine. And Victoria, if you want to slip to that slide really quickly, we can just show those locations again and the contact information. But those are open typically Tuesday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it's just a drop off where you drive through and you can drop off hazardous waste products like paints and chemicals and also electronic waste items as well. And they have the full list of acceptable items on their website. Another question, is if you wanted to do a container exchange more than once per year, could you? And absolutely, you could. There is an additional charge for additional container exchanges, but that is an option. It's just the 1 container exchange per year, no charge. And I think we'll do a couple more questions here. How often? Let's see, I think actually we got that. This is about grease. We covered that earlier. How how important is it that the containers are fully dried before placing in the recycling container? We don't want it dripping wet because unfortunately once paper products and cardboard gets wet, it makes it very difficult, if not impossible, to recycle. So it is important that it's dry, but if it's, not soaking wet and it's just minimal amounts of droplets, that's totally fine. It's really just about keeping the other products in the recycling clean and dry. All right, and then another question was about styrofoam, if that type of packaging material can be placed in the recycling container, and that answer is no, it should be placed into the trash. And then the last question that I think we'll cover tonight, I think most of these questions seem to be similar, is that, this program doesn't start until January 1st. And once it does, how is it going to be recycled by Waste Management? So yes, that's correct. The program does not start until January 1st, so feel free to continue as you have been now. But starting January 1st is when residents can start placing food waste into the green container, and that will be taken to a compost facility for all the residents in the single family homes throughout the community. And that will be composted industrially so that it's not put into the landfill and it can be turned into, land application soil and things like that. But I think since we're just passing 7:06 here, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up just to let everyone get back to, their day and make sure they get your dinner plans and everything taken care of. But I wanted to thank you again, everyone, for joining tonight. We really appreciate all the questions. There was a lot of great questions, and we know this program is certainly a big change that it's going to take, a lot for us to get used to. But I think over the years, we will, get used to it and see this as the new normal and keep providing as much education and resources as we can. So we're all in this together, that's for sure. Definitely like I said, every city in the state is going through this change, so we'll all be learning from each other. And if you have any more questions or tips and tricks or suggestions, again, please feel free to reach out to that mbrecycling@wm.com. We'll continue our best to answer your questions as needed. And stay tuned for the city's website. We'll make sure to post more resources from this presentation as well. But thank you so much, everyone. We hope you have a great night. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.